What if Anakin found the one ring on the lava banks of Mustafar? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Anakin lies on the blackened lava shores of Mustafar, his flesh burning, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Pain, endless, searing pain, is all he can feel as the lava swirls around him. But it is nothing compared to the fire inside. It burns bright from everything he's endured. Obi-Wan's betrayal, Padmé, even Palpatine, who promised him power, yet he lays here burning. Then, through the agony, a voice whispers, soft, insidious, curling through his thoughts like smoke. It calls to him, not in the way the dark side does. This is different, ancient. It does not seduce with promises of mastery. It assures him that he already is the master, that all he must do is claim it. Anakin's half-lidded eyes flicker downward. Amid the scorched rock lies a simple golden band. Perfect, untouched by the inferno around it. The voice curls around his mind again, whispering what he already knows. It is yours. With the last of his strength, he reaches for it. He focuses his mind on that one ring, as if it is the only thing that matters, and then it falls into his hand. But as his fingers close around it, he hears a voice calling to him. Lord Vader. Rather than relief, he feels something else. Resentment, disgust, and unhappiness. Why should he be his master? As the Chancellor steps forward, his yellow eyes narrow. What have you found? Anakin does not answer. His breath is labored, his skin a ruin of burns, but his grip tightens around the ring. The whispers grow louder, urging, begging, commanding, for him to wear it, to let him save himself and claim his destiny. He slips the ring onto his finger. Power rushes through him like a storm. The agony vanishes. The raw stumps of his limbs begin to mend, new flesh knitting over charred wounds. His vision sharpens, taking in the world with an unnatural clarity. He feels the force swell within him, but it is different, twisted, fighting against something vast and incomprehensible. Palpatine stumbles back, his face twisting in shock, in recognition. Take it off! Anakin rises, whole, his breath steady, his strength greater than ever before. He can hear the desperation in Palpatine's voice, almost pleading despite his attempts to hide it. For the first time, he sees him for what he truly is. Weak. No. Palpatine moves to strike, his hands igniting with raw, crackling fury of Sith lightning. He cannot allow such a power to be unleashed, much less with someone else. However, Anakin raises his own, and a force unlike anything the Emperor has ever known surges forth. The dark side obeys, but not in its usual form. It twists, bends, infused with something beyond the Sith, beyond the Force itself. They emerge as strange, misshapen tendrils, lashing out and trying to sway at him. But where they move, the air distorts and the very fabric of reality seems to waver. Palpatine dodges these initial strikes, slashing across some of the dark tendrils, trying to push himself forward and getting close to strike at him. Anakin is unarmed, so if he gets close, he shall have the advantage. The Chancellor cuts through half the tendrils and tries to plunge his lightsaber into him, but Anakin sidesteps and forces him back. Cursing, Palpatine twists and moves to rush at him again, leaping into the air and channeling the dark side to smash Anakin into the dirt. All around him, the ground shakes and flattens, sending a miniature shockwave, but Anakin does not move. When Palpatine comes down with his lightsaber, Anakin simply redirects it to the ground. The Chancellor looks up in surprise just as Anakin looks over and smiles. Palpatine's scream is cut short as Anakin crushes him with a mere hand gesture, the Sith Lord's body imploding under the weight of sheer, unrelenting power. Anakin stands amidst the wreckage, victorious, and considers his options. He is no longer bound by Sith tradition, no longer a mere apprentice. He gazes at the ring, feeling its whispers, its promises, its hunger. But it also promises a future of something greater, to rule not just this galaxy, but many more. The ring is no mere artifact. It is a key to something greater, something ancient. Should he find it, the power would be unending. It speaks of other worlds, of a land beyond the stars where it was forged. Middle-earth, a place of wars long past, of kings and dark lords, of power unclaimed. The name lingers in his mind, filling him with purpose. A new title forms on his lips, one that feels truer than Vader ever did. Darth Sauron. But as he gives himself that name, it is like a key unlocking in his mind as something stirs within the ring, a presence awakening. The ring is not just a conduit of power, it is something more, a piece of will older than even the Sith, bound to a spirit that has long waited for its return. Sauron feels him, feels Anakin's strength, feels the ring once more within his grasp, and slowly, insidiously, he begins to take. He revels in his newfound strength, the way the Force bends to his will, but beneath it, the cracks begin to form. His thoughts, once clear, feel touched as if something beyond the Force is waiting, watching. The longer he holds the ring, the more he can feel that voice probing into his mind, digging deeper and trying to influence him. Anakin Skywalker finds Palpatine's throne room in Coruscant. This becomes the first victim of his power. He clenches his fist and looks over the room for some improvements. As he clenches his fist, tendrils of Force energy shoot out through the walls and ceiling. He lets them harden into spikes while he destroys the ceiling, letting rubble rain down until the bright rays of the sun shine down on him. He stomps his foot and unleashes another burst of energy, sending cracks across the ground that take the shape of ancient Sith and elvish runes. As he sits upon the ruins of his former master's throne, he ponders his options. The galaxy is his, yet he hungers for more. The whispers of the ring do not subside. They murmur of unfinished conquest, a world beyond the stars where the ring was born, a world that awaits its true master. But before he can march upon Middle-earth, Anakin must first solidify his rule over this galaxy. The Purge begins anew. With his power enhanced beyond mortal comprehension, the Jedi who survived Order 66 stand no chance. Darth Sauron hunts them personally, his presence an unstoppable force of destruction. With each fallen Jedi, he feels the veil between the Force and the ring's power weaken, the two great energies battling for dominion within him. He welcomes the struggle, using it to sharpen his will. He bends the darkness to his purpose, forging something greater than any Sith or Jedi could ever dream. Worlds fall before his might. Where Sidious ruled through manipulation and fear, Anakin rules through sheer overwhelming force. The Empire expands at an unprecedented rate, stormtroopers now bolstered by legions of war machines built from the knowledge he has gathered across the galaxy. Sith alchemy intertwines with arcane sorcery from the depths of forbidden holocrons, blending the dark side with something older, something deeper. His armies are no longer mere soldiers. They are extensions of his will. They do not just conquer planets, they storm ancient temples, raid archives, and gather whatever information they can, whether it is to expand their army or provide him with insights of Middle-earth. The rebellion is shattered. No longer can they wage open war. Darth Sauron's strength is too great, his reach too vast. They are forced into hiding, their victories reduced to fleeting moments before his forces inevitably snuff them out. Entire fleets are obliterated, their leaders executed without mercy. Hope dies in the shadow of the Dark Lord's dominion. Those who survive flee to the furthest corners, doing nothing but bite at his heels. But Darth Sauron's eyes are ever fixed on the future. Middle-earth calls to him, and he knows that mere brute force will not be enough to conquer a realm so steeped in legend and magic. He scours the galaxy for knowledge, ancient Sith scrolls, lost artifacts of the Celestials, whispers of gods who once walked amongst mortals. He studies them all, piecing together a method to break the barrier between worlds. He gathers allies, those who seek power and dominion. Dark acolytes, warlords, and fallen Jedi flock to his banner, lured by the promise of something greater than the Empire of old. He does not suffer weakness, nor does he entertain ambition. Those who follow him do so in absolute loyalty, their minds reforged in the fires of his will. The Death Star is abandoned. Why destroy a world when it can be enslaved? Every conquered system becomes another cog in the machine, feeding his empire's war effort, preparing for the inevitable campaign beyond the stars. The whispers of the ring grow stronger. Sauron stirs within the darkness, watching, waiting, as his influence waves further into the fabric of Anakin's being. But Anakin does not fear it. He does not serve. He is the master now. He is the Dark Lord. And soon, Middle-earth will kneel. After years of gathering resources, consolidating power, and building his army, Anakin now feels ready to strike. Using the power of the dark side and the ring, Anakin tears open a rift between galaxies. The spell takes tremendous effort, completely sapping his strength, but he succeeds in opening a portal large enough for his fleet of Star Destroyers to attack Ardra. The spell takes tremendous effort, completely sapping his strength, but he succeeds in opening a portal large enough for his fleet of Star Destroyers to attack Arda. The fabric of reality trembles as the gateway is forced open, a blinding vortex of swirling darkness and fire, and from the smoke, which threatens to blanket the sky, the massive Star Destroyers appear overhead. They descend upon the ancient world like a storm, making no secret of their arrival, striking terror into the hearts of all who behold them. The forces of Mordor sense a new presence, a Dark Lord unlike any before. The Nazgûl scream through the skies, their fell beasts carrying them to intercept this intruder, but their cries are silenced by Anakin's power. With but a thought, he sends a wave of dark energy that rips them from their mounts. Their spectral forms tremble before his might. Those fortunate enough to survive this initial assault must now contend with the swarm of TIE fighters that dominate the skies. The armies of orcs, trolls, and wargs surge forward, thinking themselves unmatched on this land of war. They are wrong. Anakin, clad in armor blacker than the void, descends onto the battlefield. The ring pulses with dark power. He wields not just the Force, but a corruption far older, bending the dark magics of this world to his will. The orcs and creatures of Mordor charge, but he raises a single hand, and in an instant, the battlefield erupts into chaos. Stormtroopers and Inquisitors cut through the masses, their red blades casting an eerie glow amidst the fires of war. AT-AT walkers thunder across the plains, crushing legions beneath their massive feet. The survivors are scattered and folded up into Anakin's army, granting him their might. Sauron, watching from the depths of Mordor, realizes his lost treasure has returned, but in the hands of a new master. His ancient malice stirs, his presence a shadow upon the land, reaching out to reclaim what is his. But as he touches the ring through the void, he feels something unexpected. Resistance. Anakin is no mere vessel. He is not a servant, not a pawn to be controlled. He is the Dark Lord now, and he will not relinquish his power so easily. Though he has stopped some of his power and Anakin remains weakened, and Sauron has been careful to siphon the power in preparation for his return, Anakin remains resistant. The ring, a conduit between them, trembles with the weight of their conflict. Anakin tightens his grip upon it, his will unwavering. Little does Anakin know, but a small rebel force manages to sneak inside his armada amid the chaos, led by Obi-Wan, Yoda, Luke, and Leia. They move unseen. Their ship is small and cloaked, but manages to escape to the surface unnoticed. Obi-Wan noticed how determined Anakin was to head to this world, and that must mean there is something important going on, something that is worth his empire, and he will figure out what it is. But though the Empire maintains a stranglehold over Middle-earth, resistance movements spring forth, ready to do battle with them across the planet. As kingdoms fall, a handful of heroes manage to rally the scattered resistance, raiding stormtrooper patrols, ambushing machine crews while they refuel TIE fighters or repair AT-ATs. The armies of Mordor, once the great scourge of the land, now march under Anakin's banner, reforged into a new, more terrible war machine. As a result, they also find themselves targets of this resistance. Against them, the free peoples of Middle-earth struggle to hold the line, their weapons and tactics proving woefully outdated against the technological might of the invaders. But they fight on. Deep in the forests of Ithilien, a desperate battle unfolds. Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and a band of rangers fight valiantly against a squad of stormtroopers who begin making inroads in these sacred woods. The flashes of red blaster bolts streak through the trees, cutting down warriors one by one. Aragorn deflects a shot with Anduril, but the tide of battle is turning against them. A dark figure wielding a crimson lightsaber steps forward, an Inquisitor garbed in black, his face obscured by a fearsome mask. Then, from the shadows, a new force emerges. Blaster fire rains down upon the Imperial troops, striking down stormtroopers. Blue and green lightsabers ignite in the darkness, carving through armor and sending Sith acolytes reeling. Gandalf, knocked back by the Sith's dark power, blinks in shock at his unexpected saviors. but he takes full advantage of this, channeling his lightning powers and blasting through stormtroopers. The Inquisitor tries to rush at him, but Obi-Wan steps forward and slashes through his opponent. Behind him, Yoda leaps from trooper to trooper, sending chaos through their ranks. Luke and Leia follow up, finishing off the survivors. As the last of the Imperial soldiers fall, a heavy silence settles over the battlefield. Aragorn lowers his sword, his sharp eyes scanning the strange newcomers. Beside him, Legolas tightens his grip on his bow, wary but intrigued.
You are not of this world, but you are not one of them.
Thankfully not, it seems. You saved our hides back there.
It was nothing, but this was just a scout force. No, but our enemy is the same, and so is the danger we now face.
The two groups quickly retreat into the hills, away from prying Imperial eyes. As they gather in the safety of an ancient ruin, Obi-Wan and Gandalf exchange what they've learned. The Jedi explain the nature of the Empire and the threat of Anakin Skywalker. They speak of his conquest, his lust for power, and the terrible artifact that feeds his strength. At the mention of the ring, Gandalf's face grows dark.
Then it is worse than I feared. If Anakin wields the One Ring, he is no longer merely a Sith. He is something else. Something beyond either of our realms.
The One Ring? It's an artifact of great power. It once housed the soul of a mighty demon. To have it fall into the wrong hands is catastrophic. Then we have to destroy it. Yes, but first we must find a way to strike back. If Anakin is to be stopped, we must fight together.
The people of Middle-earth look at one another. They are still skeptical of their new allies, but they can see the potential of this power and what it has to offer them. Slowly, they all stand up and nod in agreement, offering their aid to them. Determined to weaken Anakin's hold, the combined forces of the Free Peoples and the rebels launch a guerrilla war against the Empire's occupation, striking key Imperial installations, disrupting supply lines, and ambushing Sith patrols. They force Anakin to spread his attention across Middle-earth. Legolas, Gimli, and Frodo lead specialized strike teams alongside Obi-Wan, each targeting different regions to keep the Imperials off balance. These persistent attacks force Anakin to divert resources, pulling ships and troops back from his conquested territories. Word of his vulnerability reaches the distant galaxy he left behind, emboldening the Rebel Alliance to strike back. In his absence, they launch daring raids, reclaiming planets once thought lost. The growing unrest strains his forces, making it increasingly difficult to maintain his iron grip on both this galaxy and Arda. As Anakin fights a war on multiple fronts, he fails to notice an even greater danger lurking in the shadows. Sauron, ever patient, watches from Mordor as Anakin exerts his power through the ring. With each use, the Dark Lord siphons energy from his unknowing host, slowly regaining his lost strength. The balance of power begins to shift, and soon, Sauron will be strong enough to manifest once again, reclaiming what was once his. The war against the Empire and the forces of Middle-earth escalates, as while the heroes battle across the world, a small strike team commanded by Luke, Leia, Gandalf, Yoda, and Aragorn lead a daring assault on Anakin's headquarters, right in the middle of Mordor. Teams of rebels begin the strike by raining mortar and rockets onto the base, striking at the machinery there and throwing the facility into chaos. As alarms blare and the orcs and stormtroopers try to put out the fire, Gandalf adds to the chaos, summoning a thundercloud that ruins visibility and allows the rest of the team to rush in. Luke and Aragorn each lead their teams, sabotaging key operations and planting explosives to cripple his war machine. As the explosions ripple across the base, Anakin stumbles around and whirls out his balcony, sensing the approaching chaos. As the battles rage within the Citadel, a sudden unnatural darkness sweeps through the air. The very fabric of reality trembles. But as Anakin prepares to strike, he feels a stab of pain as Sauron, having siphoned enough power from Anakin, finally makes his move. The shadows converge, coalescing into a towering, armored figure. The Dark Lord reborn. Reality is bent, but not in the way Anakin expected. His fiery gaze locks onto Anakin, and the battle shifts. Sauron raises his gauntleted hand.
You have done well, my little puppet. You wear that which is mine. Return the ring, and I may grant you mercy.
You are nothing but a remnant of a past long forgotten. With this ring, I am beyond Sith. Beyond Maya, I am power incarnate.
If you believe that, then you are a fool.
Sauron surges forward, striking with an overwhelming force that shakes the entire stronghold. Dark energies pour around him as a mace forms in his hand. It shatters a pillar with each and sends Anakin diving out of the way. In response, Anakin ignites his lightsaber and meets the next strike. As their weapons meet, the entire ground shakes and sends rubble falling from the tower. Luke, Leia, Gandalf, Yoda, and Aragorn barely hold their footing as the clash between these two dark titans warps the essence of the world.
This is not a war we can fight through strength alone. We must find a way to end this before all existence is torn apart.
They make their way up to find the room warping, changing to fit the strange magics at play. As the Force and Sauron's magic clash, it tears at the fabric of reality, twisting and creating an atmosphere where the room is now a sickly purple color and the air is thick with power, so much that it is nearly suffocating. The battle reaches new heights of chaos as the heroes split into two groups, one confronting Anakin, the other battling Sauron. Luke, Obi-Wan, and Leia take on Anakin, desperately trying to reach the man he once was, while Gandalf, Aragorn, and Yoda face Sauron, wielding all their might to keep the Dark Lord at bay. Anakin stands at the heart of his throne room, the one ring glowing on his finger, crackling with unnatural energy. Luke ignites his green lightsaber, stepping forward.
Anakin, listen to yourself. This power is twisting you, corrupting you.
You're wrong. This is who I was always meant to be.
Leia leaps at him, lightsaber swinging as she tries to take his hand off. However, Anakin lifts his hand and the Force pulses outward, sending her flying into a stone pillar. Luke dodges just in time, rushing forward. His lightsaber connects with Vader's and the two stare each other down. But then the Dark Lord laughs as he releases a wave of darkness nearly consuming his body. Obi-Wan barely pulls him out, cutting his way through before meeting Anakin head-on. Their lightsabers clash in a brilliant light, but it is like fighting a tidal wave just as the Jedi Master himself is pushed back. Anakin's attacks are relentless, overwhelming. He drives Obi-Wan back with heavy, unnatural strikes, the ring fueling his every move. Leia and Luke leap into the fray, their lightsabers flashing and slashing at him in perfect sync, thrusting forward and trying to force him back. Vader snarls, and the darkness forms a shield, blunting their attacks as he sweeps his hand and a burst of Force energy throws them back. Luke manages to remain standing. Anakin batters Luke's defenses, pushing him to his limits. But Luke is strong, his connection to the light unwavering. For a fleeting moment, as their sabers lock, Anakin falters. His son's unwavering hope gnaws at him.
Father, let go of the ring.
Something stirs deep within Anakin. A voice, distant but familiar. Padmé.
Anakin, you're a good person. Don't do this.
Suddenly, the memory of her and him on Mustafar comes rushing back, alongside a tidal wave of guilt, anger, fear, then regret. His grip on the saber weakens, but the ring tightens its hold. On the far end of the battlefield, the air shimmers with malice as Sauron rises from a swirling vortex of darkness. His eyes burn with raw hatred, locking onto the heroes before him. Gandalf plants his staff into the ground, summoning a golden barrier of light.
You shall not reclaim your dominion, Sauron.
Fools, you stand before a god.
He swings his mace, the sheer force of it shattering the barrier and sending Gandalf skidding back, but he unleashes a fireball that glances off Sauron's armor. Aragorn rushes in, Anduril glowing with an ethereal light. His strikes are fast and relentless. Sauron unleashes a wave of chaos, raising tendrils of shadows against him. But he cuts through them and slashes at Sauron's chest, though it barely leaves a mark. Yoda leaps high, his green lightsaber flashing as he carves through Sauron's emerging body, but the Dark Lord hardly flinches. He grabs onto his neck and tries to drive it into his neck, but Sauron grabs him and throws him across the room. Once Yoda is clear, Gandalf unleashes another fireball. This one manages to knock him back. Aragorn takes advantage of it, leaping through the corrupted air. He ducks under Sauron's mace and finds the chink in his armor. This time, Sauron hisses in pain. However, his hand reaches out and a wave of pure darkness forces him to block it with his sword. His power pulses outward, dark tendrils lashing toward them. Gandalf steps forward, gripping his staff with both hands.
I banish you from this world, foul shadow.
He slams his staff into the ground, unleashing a wave of blinding white light that forces Sauron back, his form flickering. However, rather than banish him, it only weakens him a bit as he rises and raises his mace.
Anakin, listen to me. You are more than this. More than the power. More than the rage. You still have a choice.
Father, you don't have to be a slave to the ring. I can feel your pain, your struggle. Let it go. Anakin hesitates, a flicker of something buried deep within him stirring. The overwhelming weight of the ring presses on his soul. Then, through the void of his corruption, a voice, soft yet unyielding, breaks through.
Anakin, come back to me.
For the first time, clarity returns to Anakin's eyes. The realization crashes down upon him. The ring has devoured him, erased everything he once was. He grits his teeth, forcing his trembling hand to move. He tears the ring from his finger, but Sauron senses and leaps forward. Sauron's power surges, attempting to reclaim his stolen treasure. Anakin stumbles back, barely escaping the onslaught, but then he slams his fists together and unleashes a shockwave that buys him some time. He knows what must be done. With one final glance at Obi-Wan and Luke, he turns and bolts toward his starfighter, clutching the ring in his hand. Engines ignite, and he rockets into the storm-racked skies of Mordor. Sauron, enraged, will not let him escape. He summons a monstrous fell beast, wings dark as night, and takes flight in pursuit. The remaining heroes rush into a gunship, piloting after them, while Luke flies atop his X-Wing. As they fly, they watch as reality itself distorts from the sheer force of Anakin and Sauron's struggle. The sky tears with dark rifts, time and space unraveling as Anakin pushes his fighter forward, toward the only place that can end this madness, Mount Doom. Sauron gains on him, his fell beast screeching as claws swipe at Anakin's ship. Anakin grits his teeth, dodging its next strike as Luke appears behind, firing at the creature. One blow glances across its wing, sending the fell beast hissing in pain, but it sprints around, knocking at their gunship. The doors open and Gandalf tries to fire a lightning bolt while Leia fires upon it. Obi-Wan struggles to keep the ship steady as it crashes into them, nearly sending Leia toppling off, but Yoda catches her and leaps off. At that moment, Gandalf fires a bolt of lightning, striking the beast's flank and leaving it hissing in agony. Yoda lands right on its back, ducking underneath one of Sauron's swings, but then drives his lightsaber across its neck, sending the beast tumbling from the sky. Luke's X-Wing flies low and catches Yoda. With his path clear, Anakin throws everything into his descent, crashing his ship into the fiery chasm of Mount Doom. As the weight of his sins, power, and torment are finally cast into the abyss. With the death of Anakin, there is still much to do about the Empire. Though leaderless, it allows the rebels to strike back across the galaxy. To this end, the Free People offer their aid, sending soldiers out across different planets so they can help, but also learn new skills of battle and adapt modern technology into their war. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.